We
are
We are
cultivate.
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 Cultivate. We are Cultivate.
Hello and welcome to Ye Olde Crime, where we discuss the funny, strange, and obscure crimes of yesteryear. I'm your host, Lindsay Valenti, and with me is my sister and co-host, Maddie Stengel.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going. Before we dive into the story, I just want to note that we have a sale on our TeePublic shop from July 16th through the 21st, where you can enjoy 35% off.
Ah,
There's that.
super nice.
And this week, thanks to the research of Carrie Ann, we will be discussing Radu the Handsome.
Ooh, the handsome.
Mm-hmm.
What a thing to be known in history as the handsome one.
I'm the handsome one.
It's cool. I'm the handsome one.
It's my cross to bear. Information was pulled from the following sources: a 2023 All That's Interesting article by Amber Morgan, 2023 Q News article by Destiny Rogers, Academic, Cultura Collectiva article by Isabel Carrasco, Dom's 2 Cents article by Dom's Desk, Dracula's Bloodline, Florescu Family Saga by Radu R. Florescu and Matei Kazaku. I butchered those. Genie.com, Legends of Dracula by Thomas Stryskuth, Voivode of Wallachia blog, and Wikipedia.
Dang.
And links to all of these articles will be included in the show notes. If you love the show, the best way to support us is to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Good Pods, CastBox, Podcast Addict, and or Audible. Links to all of these are in our show notes, or if you're already listening on one of these platforms, you know what to do.
Oh, and while you're at it, shoot us a question you'd like to hear us answer on the pod. We'll give you a special shout out and address your burning questions all at the same time. The weirder, the better. Submit them via link in our show notes or shoot them to us in our DMs.
As promised, this week we are stepping away from the Civil War era in America.
Just in time for the 4th of July.
I know. Fuck you, 4th of July. We're leaving now. You've had enough, America.
You've had enough. You've had your day. I said good day.
You've had like a whole month, America. We're leaving now. We're leaving for a bit. And instead, we are heading all the way over to Romania to discuss the life and story of Radu III of Wallachia, also known as Radu the Handsome, Radu the Fair, and Radu the Beautiful.
Oh, also fair and beautiful. We love a non-binary king.
Now, you may have noticed that Dracula was mentioned in the sources, and there's a good reason for that. See, Radu is the younger brother of Vlad Tepes, or Vlad the Impaler.
That's really funny. So, like, the pretty one is related to, like, the worst person ever at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, you could say the ugliest person at the time.
Yes. The ugliest on the inside.
Yep. Ugliest on the inside, but don't worry. His relative is real pretty on the outside.
He is super pretty on the outside.
Some may say the prettiest.
Mm-hmm. Radu, known as Radu Cel Frumos in Romanian or Radu Bey in Turkish, was the youngest in the house of Draculești, born in 1438.
Dang.
His father was Vlad II Dracul, and his mother was Sneaina of Moldavia. In addition to his older brother Vlad, who was born in 1431, he had 2 older siblings, Mircea II, who was born in 1428, and Vlad Calul-Garul, who was born sometime before 1425.
Why so many Vlads?
I don't know.
They just really liked that name. They used it a lot, like every other. And I bet you if it was a female too, it was like Vladmila or something.
Yes, Vlad is a very common name at this point in history in
Yes.
Romania.
It's essentially John.
Yeah, yes. Fun fact, Radu and his brother Vlad III did not have the same mother.
Oh.
He and Vlad the Impaler, who is Vlad III, not the same mom. I couldn't really find out who Vlad's mom was.
I'm just assuming it's like a black swan scenario where like one mom is the white swan. It's the black swan.
Who knows? Or maybe she passed away. I didn't really dive too deep into it because he's not the main character here.
Right. It's not about you, Dracula. Get out.
God, get out of here. Now, before we go too far, I need to explain a bit about Wallachia and the Voivode. So, Wallachia was a medieval empire that existed in modern-day Romania.
Okay.
Founded in 1330 CE by King Basarab I, it was located north of the lower Danube and south of the southern Carpathians. Wallachia existed until the Union of Moldavia in 1859, before eventually becoming Romania as we know it today, specifically southern Romania.
Okay.
Voivode is a term that refers to a military leader or a warlord, and it has been used since the early Middle Ages. This term was typically used in reference to the medieval rulers of the Romanian inhabited states, and in the case of our story today, it was used to denote the princes of Wallachia.
Okay.
Just a different royal title that had a more militaristic bend to it.
Got it.
In 1436, 2 years before Radu's birth, Vlad II Dracula became what we would consider the king of Wallachia.
Okay.
He held this title until 1442, when rival factions backed by the Hungarians removed him from power, replacing him with Basarab II.
That's not good.
No. So Radu and his brother Vlad III accompanied their father, Vlad II Dracula, on a visit to meet with Sultan Murad. So this same year, so like in 1442, in order to pay tribute to gain the Sultan's support in returning Vlad II to the throne.
Okay. So he's like, I need to get back up there. Will you
Yep.
help me?
Yep. At this point, Radu was 4 and his brother Vlad was 11. The meeting was a bit of a ruse, so they had this really nice dinner.
Oh no. Like the red wedding?
Kinda. But the boys and their father were captured or imprisoned, I guess.
Not murdered like they would be in HBO.
This wasn't an HBO special, like they survived.
This wasn't an HBO special. They survived.
Vlad II was only able to escape after he agreed to leave his sons as hostages in the Ottoman Empire.
Whoa, that would have been huge too.
It's believed that Vlad II had been tortured and likely shown how the Ottomans used impalement as an incentive to agree to their demands so he could gain his freedom. Like, this could be you, unless you leave your kids with us.
Yeah. Okay, I am starting to understand the origin story of Dracula now.
Yeah. In order to prove Vlad II's loyalty to the Ottomans, Radu and I'm just going to call him Vlad Jr. because saying the third all the time is annoying. Radu and Vlad Jr. stayed, but they weren't imprisoned in the traditional sense. They were originally held at a fortress on a mountain almost 3,000 feet above sea level in Asia Minor.
This is a DC movie. Like what?
Yeah.
Batman, only it's Dracula.
It's like a fortress on top of a mountain, essentially. Called Arios, which means crooked eyes, which is interesting. After this, they moved to Tokat, then the capital of the empire, which was Adrianople.
Not Constantinople?
Not Constantinople.
Go back to Constantinople.
Although that will be in this story. Now, The point of holding hostages in the Ottoman Empire wasn't necessarily to ensure that others behaved. In this instance, it was to instill a sense of loyalty to the empire. So
Yeah.
in the case of Vlad and Radu, during their time in Turkey, they learned, studied the Quran, logic, how to properly ride horses, they trained in warfare, and they even went on to learn several languages.
Yep. So it's kind of like a stepchild situation almost.
Yeah.
Like you're not fully loved. It's a conditional love, but they're taking care of you.
It's kind of like how in the monarchy in like the UK, they would sometimes send the spouse early to the kingdom to like learn the customs and all that kind of
Yep.
stuff prior to them being married. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
But in this instance, the ultimate goal would be to convert the hostages to Islam, but it was never forced on anybody. They weren't like making you convert, but it was heavily implied that it would be in your best interest to do so.
The fact that they didn't try to force it is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Because this is during like the Crusades and like
Yep.
all of that. So they
Yep.
must have been that, it must have been that terrifying then that they didn't even have to worry about you not wanting to convert. They're like, oh, we're not going to force you to do that because everything is so scary that you already converted.
Well, just wait. So,
Oh God.
that being said, one still had to be careful as a hostage. Both
Oh yeah.
of the Dracula boys were careful to not question or protest anything, to be quiet and obedient or face the wrath of the Sultan.
No thanks.
They had witnessed firsthand what could happen to them should they defy him. So 3 years prior to their capture, Princes Stefan and Gregor from Serbia, who were also hostages, were blinded with red-hot irons after they were caught sending traitorous correspondence to their father.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see how Vlad Vlad Jr. could see his punishments as just.
Mm-hmm.
If he's 11 and he's experiencing this and like this is power.
Fear is power. Yeah.
Fear is power.
So 6 years after they were traded for their father's release, Vlad II was killed by warlords under the control of John Hunyadi. And as if that wasn't bad enough, their elder brother, Mircea II, who had been sort of reigning temporarily while his dad was off fighting, was tortured and blinded before he was buried alive.
Oh, what a horrific death. God, what did he do? Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Now, shortly after this, in 1448, the Sultan released Vlad III after he swore on both the Bible and the Quran that he wouldn't take part in any actions against the empire, that he would be loyal and continue to provide tribute. So Vlad returned to Wallachia to plot his revenge against the Ottomans and reclaim the Wallachian throne.
You go, Glen Coco.
So the Sultan was like, I will put you back in power in Wallachia with the understanding that we still own you.
We're still running it and you're through you.
Yes, you are a puppet and we are the master.
Yep.
Radu, however, stayed behind and he converted to Islam.
I would too. If my two older brothers died and my last older brother was about to leave, I would do everything in my power to try to assimilate as much as possible.
Yeah. So while Vlad III was fighting to reclaim the throne, Radu became a popular member of the Ottoman court. And it was around this time that he formed a close relationship with Mehmet II, the heir of the Sultan. Now, Mehmet was born on March 30th, 1432, in Edirne, the capital city of the Ottoman Sultanate. His parents were Sultan Murad II and Huma Hatun, who was a slave.
Oh, wow.
At the age of 11, Mehmet II, along with two of his advisors, was sent to Amasya to govern and gain experience in order to ascend to the throne.
I'm really surprised that he's still treated this highly being born from a slave. Were they just like more lax potentially in Muslim countries than Christian? Or like maybe it's just them?
I don't know if it was like he was the only son and therefore the heir. I don't
Yeah.
know.
That's crazy to me though, that like
Mhm.
they didn't just kill him.
Mehmet II was accompanied by several teachers who gave him a proper Islamic education that reinforced his Muslim beliefs. He was also very interested in the study of knowledge, which became a big part of his life.
Nice.
On June 12th, 1444, Sultan Murad II made peace with Hungary. And following this, he abdicated the throne, placing 12-year-old Mehmet II in power just a month or so later in July or August of 1448.
Whoa. That's a big gesture.
Yeah. And at the time that they met in the Ottoman imperial court, Radu was 6 and Mehmet II was 12.
Oh my god, that's really cute.
It's gonna not be cute now.
Oh. Hold on. Can we just have like a little bit of like we're best friends and like I'm 6 and I'm 12 and like we're gonna go play cars and eat candy.
We can pretend that was a thing, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Because now it's not going to be like that.
Now it's not gonna be fun.
It's been well documented that Mehmet II had an extremely high sex drive. In fact,
Oh.
a Greek member of his court, a historian named Launikos Halkokondiles, noted that he would frequently select young boys and invite them to his bed.
Oh no, not young boys.
And after joining him in his bed, he would then have them trained to be placed in positions of importance in his court.
So he's just grooming a little sex army court.
Yeah, a little harem with some power. Yeah.
Ugh.
Mehmet II met Radu when he was first taken as a hostage. Launikos noted that shortly after taking the throne as Sultan, Mehmet II propositioned Radu for sex. Quote, he was in love with the boy and invited him for conversation, and then, as a sign of his respect, he invited him for drinks to his bedchamber. End quote.
You cannot be in love with a boy.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Nope.
During the course of the evening, Mehmet II attempted to have sex with him, which understandably took Radu off guard.
Yeah.
During a scuffle in which Radu attempted to fight him off, Mehmet II forcefully kissed Radu. Radu grabbed a knife, then stabbed the Sultan in the leg before running away.
Good for you. Wow.
Even with this unsavory beginning, the pair would go on to form a romantic relationship.
This makes me very sad.
They reportedly made a practice of exchanging letters and gifts. Mehmet II placed the power of the Ottoman Empire back in the hands of his father when he was 14, but had to once more assume the mantle of Sultan following his father's death when he was 19. Now, in 1453, Radu fought alongside Mehmet II during the battle that led to the fall of Constantinople on May 29th after a 53-day siege. At this time, Radu was 15 and Mehmet II was 30 when they fought together to bring an end to the Byzantine Empire.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Mehmet II, who claimed the title of Caesar of Rome following his conquest, encouraged his people to move to the newest addition to the Ottoman Empire, and even had a palace constructed there, the Topkapi Palace, as he planned to make it the new capital city. And upon its completion, he had Radu move into the palace to live alongside him. Radu returned to Wallachia briefly in 1456 to rule as prince while his brother, Vlad III, took part in a conflict against Hungary.
Just Vlad III being Vlad III, you know.
Mm-hmm. Which is interesting because at that point, the Ottoman Empire and Hungary had this peace treaty.
Mm-hmm.
So Vlad's like, yeah, fuck you guys. You're part of
Mhm.
the enemy. I'm going to attack you. Now, at some point around this time, Radu married a princess named Maria Despina and would go
What?
on to have a daughter named Maria Mongo-Vojkita in 1457.
What?
I couldn't find a whole lot of information about the woman that he married,
Why? How?
why and how they got married.
Like with Caesar knowing, like
Yeah, so I don't know.
what?
I just know that it happened. I don't really know the specifics of how and why, if this was like some sort of political move. I don't know.
It had to have been like
And I don't know
what?
what family or empire she came from.
I need to learn. I need to read more books about this era in general because it's
Yeah.
it's bananas.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Vlad III was ruling over Wallachia, which Mehmet II encouraged, believing that they would maintain close ties and Vlad would continue to pay tribute, even though he is attacking Hungary. He still was like, this is going to be fine.
It's okay. We're still buds. We got this. We're still bros at the end of the day, right?
That changed when Vlad III decided he was done with tributes.
Hmm.
And not only that, but he killed two of Mehmet II's envoys by having them impaled.
And that's when it began?
He also had their turbans nailed into their heads since they refused to remove them as a show of respect.
Mm.
Now, it's theorized, I couldn't find any confirmation, that during his time as a hostage, Vlad III had been sodomized, which is why he preferred the use of impalement, which in this instance is when a person would be essentially skewered on a stake by having it enter their rectum and come out their mouth.
Oh, that's so horrific.
And one thing that should be noted is that this method of death wasn't instantaneous.
No. No.
In fact, many of its victims could take hours or even days to die in this manner.
Yeah. Probably days, I would say.
And Vlad III would go on to be famous for using this extremely cruel method to inspire fear in his enemies. There's a reason he gained the nickname Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah.
In 1462, Vlad III attacked the Ottoman Empire directly, killing thousands of Turks and Muslim Bulgarians. This understandably infuriated Mehmet II, who in response raised an army of 150,000 Janissaries, or elite Ottoman soldiers, before sailing with Radu to Wallachia. Mehmet II planned to place Radu on the Wallachian throne after defeating his brother.
Yeah.
What awaited them as they marched to war would horrify them both. Vlad III had made good on his title of the Impaler by having 20,000 men, women, and children impaled not far from where many of Mehmet II's men had been camping.
Of his own people? Just like anybody. Just 20,000 people that were just there.
That were part of the Ottoman Empire, yeah.
Probably not by choice, but yeah.
Quote, the Sultan's army entered into the area of the impalements, which was 17 stades long and 7 stades wide. There were large stakes there, on which, as it was said, about 20,000 men, women, and children had been spitted. There were infants, too, affixed to their mothers on the stakes, and birds had made their nests in their entrails. End quote.
Horrific.
On June 16th and 17th of 1462, in what would go on to be known as the Night Attack, Vlad III led a campaign against the Ottoman forces that resulted in heavy casualties for the Ottoman army. He bragged of his doings, telling his ally Matthias Corvinus in the winter of 1462 that, quote, he had killed peasants, men and women, old and young, 23,884 Turks, end quote, not counting the ones who had been burned alive in their homes or those who had been beheaded by the soldiers in his army.
So awful. I can't imagine somebody just bragging about that. That's just.
Yep. Vlad III's savagery couldn't stand up to Mehmet II's power, and he was swiftly and soundly dealt with before fleeing to Transylvania. The King of Hungary, aka his friend Matthias Corvinus, who he had bragged to, who Vlad considered an ally, did not give him leniency and instead imprisoned him for 12 years.
Mm.
And although Radu had been a member of the Ottoman Empire, due to his diplomatic skills and knowledge of Wallachian culture, he was able to persuade many of the Wallachian nobles to defect and accept the Ottoman Empire.
That's impressive. That would have been a hard job.
This task was made much easier considering many of the Wallachian people resented his brother's harsh rule, and after years of turmoil, they just wanted peace.
Mm. They just want to live. Just don't be left alone. Who do we have to pay to be left alone?
And not be terrified that we might end up on a spit.
Right. For no reason.
Yep. Radu assumed the mantle of Voivode of Wallachia in August of 1462 at the age of 24, and held the title until November of 1473, when he was deposed by his future son-in-law, Stefan III of Moldavia. Basarab Laiota Cel Patrian ascended to the throne, but Radu would reign 3 more times over the coming years, from December 23, 1473 to March of 1474, March to the summer of 1474, and October 1474 to January of 1475.
I love that he was just like rent-a-ruler at the time. Like whenever the Ottoman Empire got it, they were like, okay, go back.
Yep.
Oh, it's dangerous. Now come back. Okay,
Yep.
go back.
At one point in 1473, Vlad III briefly regained control of Wallachia, but was once again dethroned.
Yeah, I bet most people were like, nah, dude, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah. Radu died in January of 1475 at the age of 36 or 37, and is buried in the Corte de Arges monastery. Many historians believe that Radu contracted syphilis from Mehmet II, and that was what caused his death.
I mean, that would make sense.
There are, of course, a few other theories around the cause of his death. One is that he was poisoned by one of his many enemies. There were those, even some of his own relatives, who wanted to claim their right to rule by replacing him with a different candidate. It is also just as possible that others within the region, such as Hungary and Poland, wanted to remove him to reduce the Ottomans' influence in the region, given how loyal Radu was to the empire.
If they only knew. If they only knew why.
The third option is that he simply died from natural causes, such as an accident or an illness. Given his age and how young he was when he died, it's entirely possible that he suddenly got sick or perhaps had a chronic illness. It's also just as likely that he could have been injured while hunting or even during battle defending his right to rule.
Well, I mean, and if he had syphilis, if he got cut or had an injury or something too, would only exacerbate it.
Radu's legacy in Romania is a bit complex. As his moniker infers, he was known for his good looks, as well as his diplomacy and role in the conquest of Constantinople. He is also viewed as a traitor against Wallachia for aligning himself with the Ottomans instead of his own family.
The family that sold him.
Yeah. Radu's daughter, Maria, as I mentioned earlier, became the third wife of Stephen the Great and gave birth to Prince Bogdan. It was said that Stephen loved her very much, and Bogdan would go on to inherit the Moldavian throne. Mehmet II, over the course of his life, was married 5 times, not counting his numerous concubines, and fathered 4 children. Still, he enjoyed sex with men and would continue to add them to his harem. Mehmet II also died of syphilis in 1481 at the age of 49.
That was so old at the time.
And he looked it too. Like if you see portraits of him towards the end of his life, he looked old. As for Vlad the Impaler, he was assassinated in December of 1476 at the age of 45. He did have 2 wives. His first wife is unknown, but his second wife was Justina Silagi, and she bore him a son named Mikna Chelro. She passed away in 1497 at the age of 42.
Hmm.
And that is the story of Radu the Handsome.
How devastatingly sad.
Yeah, he had a pretty sad life. I think part of the reason he wasn't as well known is because of his, I want to say, unwanted sexual relationship with the Sultan, as if he had a choice in the matter. But
Right.
I would say it was a matter of, I have to do this if I want to survive, not
Mhm.
I actually love this person who is twice my age and essentially,
A monster.
yeah. We wouldn't be here without support from listeners like you. If you're interested in supporting us financially, you can leave a one-time or monthly donation over on Buy Me a Coffee or our Venmo page. Links are in the show notes. And we make a point of reaching out to send you a thank you note and stickers to show our appreciation.
Want to show your support in a more concrete way? Pick up some Yield Crime merch over at our TeePublic shop. We shout out whenever there is a sale each month, and we work to make sure we're creating new designs and changing it up whenever possible. And hey, thanks for listening.
Do you find yourself bored at work while eating your lunch?
Do you watch the clock waiting for work to be over?
As you're sitting in meetings, do you find your boss's voice sounding like a howling banshee?
Then don't wait another minute. Tune into the Paranormal Peeps podcast.
We are ready to entertain you.
And this week's podcast plug is the Paranormal Peeps podcast, Between the Realm of the Dead and the Journeys of the Living. Join Josh, Jamie, and Alicia as they delve into the vast world of the paranormal and breathe life back into the history of the departed. They're part of the Darkcast Network, and we will have a link to their show in the show notes.
Nice.
And we have a listener question this week from Carrie Ann, who would like to know, would you rather wrestle a bear or an alligator?
Alligator. You just punch it really hard between the eyes, like a shark. And then they go, and then they just like go away. Because with a bear, I feel like depending on the type of bear, like if it's a mama bear, I'm dead. Like there's no way. Just dead. If it's a hungry bear, dead.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a baby bear who like thinks I'm also a bear, probably gonna die of my injuries. Like there's just, for me, I think if I'm about to wrestle a bear, I'm gonna die. There's just like no ifs, ands, or buts. But with an alligator, I feel like you can annoy it enough to make it leave you alone.
Well, and especially like depending on what breed of bear, that also plays a role, because if it's like a black bear, yeah, they're not as aggressive, so I could see you potentially wrestling one because they're more afraid of you than you are of them, and they're more likely to run away.
There's black bears by our parents' house.
There's black bears here too, like by me. Like they've been sighted in the area.
They just hang out.
Yeah, they just kind of whatever, and it's only if they journey too far into the city that they get like tranked and taken away. But generally they stay away from people. If it was a grizzly, you're fucked. If it's a polar bear, you're fucked.
Polar bears are actually the number one. Like if it was between a polar bear and a grizzly, a polar bear would be more aggressive, which is saying something. Because everybody thinks it's a grizzly bear is the worst, but it's actually not.
No, it's polar bears.
And I guess pandas are pretty high up there too. In terms
I didn't
of
even
aggression.
think of pandas.
Yeah, they're like, I think they're the top 5. They're up there too of being one of the more aggressive ones because they like kill and eat their babies all the time too.
That's why there's breeding issues with the population.
And the mother's just like not caring at all.
Or like sitting on them and killing them without realizing it. Yeah. I would also go with an alligator. I feel like even though you have to be really careful because of the death roll thing they're famous for, I feel like if you can get the jump on it, you are more likely to survive. Like if you can get on its back and like put your whole
Mhm.
body weight on its mouth, like its
Yep.
snout, you've got it, you know. Although, yeah, depending on what kind of alligator too. Like there are some really fucking scary alligators.
Yeah, there's some pretty big ones, pretty horrific ones.
But I would take an alligator over a grizzly bear or any sort of bear. I feel like your chances are better because a bear is going to see you coming and they're very, very fast.
Mm.
And yeah, alligators can also be fast, but like not as fast on land as they would be in the water. And I would
Right.
never go in the water to wrestle an alligator. I'm not that stupid.
Right. Yeah.
You would do it on land where you have more of an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I love baby alligators as an aside because when they make noises, it sounds like lasers.
I like the little slow blinks that they do.
Mm-hmm. Or how happy they look when they get like brushed with a toothbrush.
Yeah.
They're adorable. Want to be social with us? You can see pics from this week's episode, bonus content, and funny memes on X at Ye Olde Crime Pod, or on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube at Ye Olde Crime Podcast.
Speaking of YouTube, we have a special playlist just for our Can You Crack the Cramp Word segments with our guest podcasters to see who can correctly guess the meaning of some obscure Victorian slang terms. If that's your thing, check it out.
What's something good you'd like to share?
Something good I'd like to share this week. I'm starting to adjust to a new routine that I'm trying to force myself to get into. Just kind of holding myself a little more accountable in terms of like making sure I eat real meals, like 2 solid meals a day, and drinking enough water, and finding time to work out or meditate, or you don't have to clean the whole house, you can just clean this one room, like that kind of thing. And it's really helpful, and it's giving me the ability to get stuff done in a way that like my brain is really happy about it, but it's not a lot of effort. So like I still have the majority of my day, or like I can shift some things around and still get it done. So I don't know. I think my good thing is just kind of falling into this routine, and this is now the 2nd week. So it's just getting easier and easier. And I'm finally starting to be able to sleep. I'm getting more than 3 hours at a night now.
That's important.
There's hope. There's hope. What about you? What's something good?
Similar to you, I have also started a new routine last week. Started a regular yoga practice at the place where Thomas goes. And I've been really enjoying it. I get a lot out of it. I actually also made a friend the last time I went.
Yay, that's exciting.
Another person that is also kind of getting back into yoga after having an injury. So we've been doing the same like gentle flow type classes.
Nice.
And it's one of those places that has hot yoga, but not all of their classes are in the infernal room, as they call it. Like the gentle ones, there's only a few that are in that room, but they're max out at like 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can like, you feel it when you first get in there. It feels like walking into Florida. But once you're kind of in it, it's kind of a nice sweat, like a therapeutic sweat. I've been sleeping better, which is good.
Good.
And there's enough of a variety in like the classes and the teachers that so far it's been a different experience every time.
Awesome.
I've been enjoying it. It's a bit of a drive, but then it's also one of those things where it's like, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. You know? Yeah. We love to hear from you, and there's a couple of ways you can reach out to us. You can email us at yeoldecrimepodcast@gmail.com, where you can send us story ideas, share any spooky stories you may have, fun gifts, or even just to say hello.
You can also reach out to us via snail mail. Remember mail? Our mailing address is Ye Olde Crime Podcast, P.O. Box 341, Wyoming, Minnesota 55092. Fun fact, we like to send out thank you cards with fun stickers you can't get at our shop, so it's worth the cost of a stamp.
And on that note, as always, I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Madison.
And we'll see you next time with another tale
As old as crime.